How's it going, guys? One Thought Fantasy here with the running back video, running back rankings, running back tiers. We have my first 5 tiers of running backs as of August 16th, 2019. So let's take a look at it without further ado. So we're gonna put it in present mode, and here we go. So the first tier is pretty murky because, as you know, Zeke Elliott is impending holdout. Um, as of the day of this recording, and he hasn't signed anything yet, so this ranking may look silly. If he does sign, he is immediately the 101, but I put him in parentheses here as the back of the first tier. So let's just go through it quick. Alvin Kamara is my 101 right now, all formats, because Kamara, he just has like 17 touchdown upside, 18 touchdown upside. He's had 81 catches in 2 straight years. With Mark Ingram going, I don't expect his role to change much. If anything, it's going to increase because, I mean, Mark Ingram just is superior to Latavius Murray. So he's my 101. You really can't go wrong with anybody, as I've said all year. But I have a slight preference of Kamara over everybody else. Then at the 2 is Christian McCaffrey, CMC, 107 catches last year. Really incredible there. But that was when Cam had a little shoulder going on, and with that healed, I don't expect as many catches from McCaffrey. I mean, I expect him to have a similar workload, but maybe 90 catches is more realistic. And if that's the case, he just drops down, 30, 40 points. So McCaffrey is my 102, and he also is going to get vultured from Cam a little bit because Cam is just a big body to have near the goal line. But 103 is actually surprising to some people, and it's Saquon because Saquon, I mean, he's the most talented running back in the NFL, and we've seen that he can be an absolute unit with what he has. But with OBJ gone, with Golden Tate suspended, with Sterling Shepard has a finger, Corey Coleman out with an ACL, he is the last man standing. Especially if Eli Manning gets benched and Daniel Jones comes in, it's not going to look very pretty on the offense. Now he's going to be an instant contender for 2,000 purpose yards, but his touchdown ceiling is really in question right now. And I'd be surprised if he scores more than 10, 11. And for everybody else, the upside is way, way, way more. And then Zeke at 4, like I was saying, he's the 101 if he signs, but we're going to put him at 4 right now. Just because he's that good that you can take the risk at this point. Now, if he gets to next week and doesn't sign, he's going to drop down, obviously. But let's get to Tier 2 real quick. Tier 2 is one guy, and this is kind of an awkward tier because David Johnson, he's a beast, right? And he's far better than the James Connors and Dalvin Cooks of the world, in my opinion. But he's not anywhere near the workhorses that have a secured workload and they're going to be elite, like McCaffrey, Kamara, and Zeke, and Barkley. So, excuse me. So I have him here at 5, and that hasn't changed all year. He's always been my 105, and he's in a tier by himself. So if you have the 5 pick, I'm definitely going David Johnson here right after the first tier backs. And the third tier, wow, look at this image. This is beautiful. But in third tier, we have Dalvin Cook at the 106, and that's because, I mean, his injuries are just overblown. Like, he had the ACL, right? ACL rookie year, missed 12 games of that. Then he comes rush back less than a year removed from the ACL. You're expecting to get re-injured, and that's what happens. You're expecting a re-injury, and he gets the hamstrings. Now, from an ACL and hamstrings in the pros, he's gotten the record of injury prone, and that's just not fair. You're gonna need a bigger sample size than that. And before he was in the NFL, he was a really durable guy. I mean, I know he had a torn labrum, but that's really all that has happened. So Dalvin Cook, especially with Latavius Murray gone, if he gets the workload, he has top 5 potential. He's a really good receiver. He's a really good rusher, very efficient rusher behind a decent line, and a great offense. I really like him at 6, and I've moved him between like 6 and 8, but right now he's at 6, so I'm taking Dalvin Cook wherever I can. Now, 7 through 9 has been really, really, really tricky for me. Really tricky. Right now, I have James Conner, and I used to have Joe Mixon here, and then I used to have Nick Chubb here immediately after the Duke Johnson news. So we have Conner here because Conner, you look at last year, he had 55 catches, nearly 500 yards, very good receiver, and he had nearly 1,000 rushing yards and 12 touchdowns. So he went off, and we saw him break down near the end of the year, but it wasn't really breaking down. I mean, he had worse games, but they were giving him rough. I mean, not the same workload, but it wasn't a drastic decrease like anything like you saw on Todd Grizz's playoff run. Now James Conner, he was less efficient, yes, but this year still did trust him. And there's a theory, I don't know if I 100% believe it, but I mean, James Conner was coming off cancer. Like this guy was going through leukemia and treatment for cancer. Like he's going to be tired near the end of the year, and with a full year under his belt, as the starting running back, and a full year removed from the cancer, of course, I expect him to have a really big year. He's a guy that has what I think like a 10 touchdown floor, and that can't be said for many other backs. He's also a pretty good receiver, so I'm liking James Conner more and more at 7. At 8, we have Nick Chubb, which is really interesting for a PPR league because I've always been high in Nick Chubb, and people are concerned about Kareem Hunt, and I'm going to argue this all year. I already have all year. Kareem Hunt is not as good as Nick Chubb. He's not as good. He's got as good as Nick Chubb. He has been worse with less, averaged less yards per carry. He's just less explosive. He's less of an athlete. He has less pedigree in the draft capital. And Nick Chubb is going to be playing on the Browns for 8 full weeks, plus the bye week. He's going to be the Browns starting running back for 9 weeks before Kareem Hunt can even be practicing with the team. Now I know Nick Chubb is very good because we've seen him average 5.2 yards per carry, top 5 in the league in yards per carry. Absolute beast there. And we've seen him had the highest elusive rating in all of last year. Now Kareem Hunt that cannot be said for Kareem Hunt rather. Kareem Hunt just is not as good of running back as Nick Chubb, and I'm going to argue that to my grave. So with 10 weeks of Nick Chubb being a beast, which I know he will be because he's really good, and then Kareem Hunt coming in, the Browns are not going to bench Nick Chubb. He's a very, very, very good player, and I fully expect him to be a double-digit touchdown guy, and he's one of my picks, probably one of my 2 picks for leading the league in rushing yards. Now, his receiving is very suspect, and that's what keeps him out of the top 6, is because he was not a very good receiver last year, even when Carlos Hyde was traded, and even with Duke Johnson gone, I don't expect him to be too prolific there. Like, I say his ceiling is like 40 catches, but wherever they've seen him be that much of a receiver, so, I mean, if he gets a bunch of receiving work, he can move all the way up, but right now, I think he's a pretty safe pick at 8. And you have Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon was all the way up at 6 at one point, passing Dalvin Cook, but Joe Mixon just carries a lot of risk now, because when he was up at 6, he had, blanking my name. Well, he had a great first-round lineman who got injured. We know he's out for the year. Clint Bowling, who retired, and a healthy A.J. Green going in, who is now going to be out for 3 weeks. But we know it's going to be more because it's A.J. Green, and that's going to linger. It's below the knee. It's just not looking good for A.J. Green there. So I'm starting to be concerned because he did a lot with it last year, 4.9 yards per carry, led the AFC in rushing. But he has less now, way less. He has a hurt AJ Green that could be out for longer, which is really, really, really going to hurt his TD upside. And his line is even worse. So I fully expect Joe Mixon to be a true workhorse. But like Saquon, his TD floor is capped in my opinion. So I have him here at 9 right now. Le'Veon Bell, it's basically the same argument for Joe Mixon. Now Le'Veon Bell, I mean, we know he was an absolute beast in Pittsburgh for several years. Personally, my favorite player in the league at that point. But I made this argument a couple times, and I'm not going to stick by it like 1,000%. But I'm not going to say anybody can be good, but everybody in the Pittsburgh Steelers system under Mike Tomlin has been a really good running back. We've seen Rashad Mendenhall. We've seen D'Angelo Williams. We've seen James Conner and Le'Veon Bell, of course. Even Jalen Samuel came in and had some really, really, really nice games. So I'm not saying Le'Veon Bell is bad, but we don't know how good he is right now. And his stopping a rushing style behind the top 5 Steelers line is going to work, but if you're really patient behind the Jets line, which was dead last year, according to Football Outsiders and rushing, I don't know how good that is going to work. He is almost a lock for 300 touches, maybe 270. He's going to get fed the ball, right? But we don't know how efficient those touches are going to be, and his touchdown upside is capped. So I have him at 10 here, and I think that's a fair ranking. Anybody having him into the top 8 is it's pretty crazy to me. Tier 4. So at 11 we have Todd Gurley, who I've kind of come around on. I had him as low as 18 at one point, and that was a bit much for me. But Todd Gurley, he's had nothing but good news come out of him. We've seen Sean McVay say that he's as fast as he's ever been. We've seen Todd Gurley saying that he's healthy, and all these things are great, but it's really concerning when you see reports that say that Fantasy football. There we go. It's really concerning when you see reports that say that Darrell Henderson and Malcolm Brown are going to take 35% of the workload or so. So I think that you can't have Todd Gurley lower than like 11 right now. no, or not 11, like 13 or so. I mean, I can entertain Carry on and Marlon Mack ahead of him, but since Jones has the hamstring and Mack had Dante Foreman there, and just everybody has been moved down to tier 3, so I had to move Todd Gurley up. So I've been pretty comfortable at 11, and he's been rising, so maybe he can take it into the top 10. We'll see. Kerryon Johnson at 12. This is just a really, really, really good pick at his current ADP. I know it's been rising, but I'm pretty sure he's still a value as of August 16th. So Kerryon, he was really, really efficient last year. 5.4 yards per carry. A total monster. He was the first line rusher to go for 100 yards in 66 years. We know it's been awesome for him. But the main concern for him was Theo Riddick is going to take 50-60 receptions. And with Theo Riddick gone, Kerryon is just that dude. Kerryon is going to get all their receiving work, presumably. And he's a far better runner than C.J. Anderson. Plus, the most revealing signing for him was T.J. Hawkinson. When they went out and drafted Hawk at 7, I knew that they were going to commit to Kerryon because Hawk is the run blocker that Kerryon needs off the edge. He's not an interior lineman for C.J. Anderson. Hawkinson was a direct nod to Kerryon, saying that he is the dude. I love Kerryon this year. Marlon Mack at 13. Did you know that Marlon Mack, fun fact, he was top 10 in the NFL in red zone touches, and he played like 12 games? Let the snake in. The offense should be better this year, which means more red zone work, and Mack is a really good running back. He was in the upper half of efficiency per carry, and he was a touchdown monster. Mack should get all the rushing work. Now, the Dante Foreman signing is interesting, to say the least, but I'm not really concerned about it. So is the Spencer Ware signing, because Mack has just proven to be that guy. He's really good. He's young. He fits the scheme. I think he's the dude. I think Mack is the dude in Indy, and he's going to get fed touchdowns. He has like legitimate 14 touchdown upside if he gets the goal line work on this elite offense. Now, Leonard Fournette at number 14. Leonard Fournette is another guy like Dalvin Cook where the injuries are overblown. We know Fournette had the ACL and Fournette had the hamstrings. It's a story very similar to Dalvin Cook. And while they've been a little bit more unfortunate, and he's not a good player, Dalvin Cook, he still does deserve this ranking here, and here's why. Leonard Fournette is going to get absolutely fed if he's on the field. If he plays 14, 15 games, you can expect, realistically, a top 12 running back. While he's been really, really inefficient, 3.6 yards per carry or so, he just gets the work, and volume outweighs talent in fantasy football 9 times out of 10. Leonard Fournette is a really good pick in the early third, and I've been taking him in every draft. I actually have a pick. I actually have the one pick in one of my leagues, and in the third round, I get Leonard Fournette a lot because Matt gets sniped, and I'm totally happy with Fournette there. Very comfortable taking him as my RB1 if I go receiver. Aaron Jones was as high as 11 at one point, and I absolutely love the talent. The most efficient back in the NFL, perhaps the best runner, this pure runner in the NFL. But his hamstring kind of set me off a little bit as of late. Now, if it comes like August, let's say 24th or 25th, and you're drafting, and he hasn't had any flare-ups with that hamstring, I'd feel comfortable taking him ahead of maybe Marlon Mack. But right now, I don't want to risk re-injury of the hamstring with Aaron Jones here. He's pretty injury prone. He's had MCLs, and he's going to be prone to more below the knee stuff and like hamstrings. But his talent and the opportunity that he should get this year. After he was the bell cow, he was an absolute league winner. I believe he was RB8 between like weeks 9, 16 or something. Like don't quote me on that, but something like that. Aaron Jones is just an absolute monster. Love him at 15. Now tier 5 we have David Montgomery, who has been a big riser, and it's kind of bugged me because he was a good pick, but he's not that great of a pick. Like David Montgomery, we know he flashed in preseason. We know he has a lot of hype around him, and everybody saw that 8-yard scamper in the preseason, and his draft stock went way up. Now, don't draft him. Do not draft him ahead of any of these guys. Don't do it. Maybe you can make a case for an injured Aaron Jones. Maybe they're in front of him, but I don't say that at all. Don't do it. David Montgomery, he should be the workhorse on the team. He should be. But these guys are going to be the workhorses, or they have immense talent with opportunity. David Montgomery also has Tariq Cohen on the team, who was one of the best pass catchers the best pass catcher per yards per catch out of the backfield. He has Mike Davis, who had 112 carries in Seattle last year, at 4.6 yards a carry, pretty efficiently. Now, I'm not saying that those guys are gonna take work, but it's everything but a sure thing for Montgomery here. Now, his upside is RB1, given the offense, given the talent, but I'm not taking him any earlier than RB16 at the moment. Now, Josh Jacobs, I had him ahead of David Montgomery for the longest time, but not much hype has came out of camp for Josh Jacobs. Now, we know that he was a really good running back. He was a first-round pick at Alabama. They traded him, or they traded Khalil Mack for the rights to Josh Jacobs. Now, Josh Jacobs is a really good running back. He has great pass catching ability, good vision. His metrics are really lackluster. His highest comp measurable is in the 35th percentile. So that's pretty concerning, but outside of that, Josh Jacobs has a pretty secure workload on a decent team that I don't think is going to pass as much this year because 5 out of their 6 top pass catchers from last year are gone. The only one that they retained was Jalen Richard, the running back. So Josh Jacobs has a realistic 250 carry upside, and he could be the pass passing work, but we don't really know about that. So I have Jacobs at 17 because there's uncertainty, but there is a level of safety there, perceived safety at least, given how many carries he's going to get. At 18, we have James White, and his ranking has been ludicrous. I mean, I've seen him going like at RB30 before, and that's just crazy because last year he was RB7 in PPR. RB7. That's insane. And he's going in as RB30. I don't get it. Now, the Patriots have always been revolving door of running backs. I mean, this year alone they have Sonny Michel, Rex Burkhead. Oh, get out of here. They have Sonny Michel, Rex Burkhead, Damian Harris. I mean, you can go out throughout all the years and you just see horrible running backs do awesome things. Jonas Gray a couple years ago. But James White has been that guy. He's been the third down guy, third and long, 2-minute drill. He's out there and he knows what he's doing. He's going to get you touchdowns and a lot of catches, and that's what all you can ask for in full PPR. James White at the RB18 is a pretty safe pick, and I take him ahead of any of these guys coming up. Devontae Freeman. Now, Devontae Freeman, let me say this first. If he plays 16 games, he will be a top 10 running back. But he's had 7 separate injuries in 2 years. 7 injuries in 2 years. And I don't want to take that risk. All the guys ahead of him are far safer than Devontae Freeman, and I don't like taking risky players early. So, if you go RB, and they're both safe, maybe take a shot at Freeman to have some of these guys, but I'm not really touching Freeman this year. Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is like a lame Nick Chubb, in my opinion. He's going to get no passing work because of Deion Lewis, and all of his production was in a 4-game sample size. Now, granted, he could play very, very well and not maintain the production that he had, but maybe a 1,000-yard rusher, 10 touchdowns. But I'm just not taking the risk in full PPR where he's at. Damian Williams is another guy that I'm kind of fading. Damian Williams was way up on my board earlier in the year, but then a hamstring happened, and then there was reports that there was a third running back, along with Carlos Hyde and Darwin Thompson, to take reps as the first team back, and then Reed said there was going to be a running back by committee, and it was just not looking pretty at all at that point. So there's literally 5 capable backs on the roster, and we've never seen Damian Williams hold up to a workload. His most carries in a game last year were 13. Granted, he does have the most upside of anybody on the screen that you see, literally anybody. But it's just really, really, really risky in my opinion, and I try to avoid risk, much like Devontae Freeman. And lastly, we have the pending holdout Melvin Gordon at 22. Now, this ranking obviously is going to fluctuate, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But Melvin Gordon has been a top 8 running back in 3 straight years in PPR, and there's no reason that should not happen if he plays. But it's looking more and more by the day that he's not going to play week 1, and I don't want to take that risk ahead of anybody that is a sure thing. And that being said, that's going to conclude this, I believe. Yeah, that's going to conclude the list. So tell me what you think about these rankings. Be sure to check out the full rankings on my Instagram page. And I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did. Stay tuned for Brockhampton, Ginger, August 23rd. Really excited for that album. I love them. And that being said, 1thoughtFantasy. Thank you very much, guys.